Well, hello, my friends, and welcome to another brand new episode of Dunswell Zoo. Today, as the thumbnail would no doubt clue you in on, we are building for the Pallas'S cat, which was part of the new Zookeepers Collection Pack, which released yesterday at the time of recording this. I'll have a separate video coming out on whether I think it's the last pack or not, and my thoughts on the pack in general. But I like the Pallas'S cat, and we're going to build for it. So I just thought we'd check in on our dolls, what we built for last time. No breeding yet, but it's not like it's the end of the world. I really like this habitat. It's very natural, it's very expansive. But our Pallas'S cat, so this is the area that we've sort of marked out as a habitat for the Pallas'S cat. And I think it's going to work really well. However, if I just no, not that one. There we go. So it's 568. There is enough space for a male and a female and cubs. Kittens would be the appropriate term because they are a cat. But again, if we just go to the Zoopedia, and so they can have up to 5. So I want 2 adults and 5. So that's 290. Now, generally you don't see males and females kept together. So we could have 2 females. That might be an option. Or we could have 1 male. As much as I love the kittens, they are a least concern species. So maybe we just house them for conservation purposes, education purposes, but we're not going to be a breeding site. Unfortunately, because the kittens are absolutely adorable. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. So we're going to be building for the Pallas'S cat, and it's definitely going to be here. I've got no inspiration for this habitat whatsoever. I've had a look on the internet at other Pallas cat habitats, and nothing's really jumping out. So I'm just going to go from the image that I have in my head of what I would build a Pallas'S cat habitat as, and hope that it looks alright as a finished product. The habitat itself is going to look similar to the Himalayan Manal habitats. So it's going to be this wood and this mesh and an old stone. It's going to be really, really sort of rustic and look a bit like a filler habitat, but it's still going to have a lot of care and attention added to it. We've also now got a red panda in this habitat. If I can find him anywhere. Probably asleep inside, I reckon, knowing him. But yeah, it's the offspring from the pair of red pandas next door. He matured, so I sent him into that habitat. Here's one of our red pandas here. No idea where the other one is. It's always fun trying to spot red pandas even in real life. You won't spend too much time trying to find them. So yeah, we're going to be building for the Pallas'S cat, and it's going to have this sort of rustic wooden stone texture, and that's what we're going to be doing essentially. This fence I might lower just because it is a tad high. Oops. Click on everything except the thing I want to click on. Yeah, the fence does look a little high against Steve. Is it Steve? Frank. Yeah, it looks a little high. So we might just lower this a little bit. Yeah, but there's one more thing I want to show you before we start building the Pallas'S cat habitat, and hopefully they're out. Are they going to be inside? Here they are. We have snow leopard kittens. We have a male and a female. We're incredibly lucky to have one of each. It's a massive boost to the conservation program. They are absolutely adorable. They look adorable. The sounds they make, they're just... Oh my god, they're amazing. I love them. Oh, look at his little face. Look at his little face. Yeah. So in here we have the female and 2 cubs. Now, they have just over 1,000 square meters to explore in here. And the requirement is 8, I think. 800 meters. It's snow leopard. And then we want one male, one adult, sorry, and 2 cubs. Yeah, so it's 816, and they were just over 1,000. So we could take some more space out, but I want to come up with a proper idea for this habitat. So we're not going to renovate it just yet. It might be that we just tweak the Pallas'S cat habitat further down the line if more space gets freed up. Anyway, let's get started on this Pallas'S cat habitat. So we'll be in speed builds for most of it, so I'll just do voiceover, facts about the Pallas'S cat, stuff like that. So I shall see you in just a second. So here we are in the speed build section, and we're just starting off with this Twilight Mason work wall panel, which is going to form the back of the habitat. It's actually also going to form the housing for the Pallas'S cats as well. But we end up having 2 females in this habitat. I figured it was best to have 2 females, then we can send them off to other collections as and when sort of needed. We could also send one of the females off, bring a male in, hope they breed, and then we'll have a female with kittens here at Dunswell Zoo. So I've gone for 2 females. I thought that was the best option for the size of the habitat and just sort of for realism as well. So the Pallas'S cat, native to Central Asia. It's found in quite a few areas of Central Asia, but quite sparsely. So the Caucasus, Iranian Plateau, the Himalayas, the Tibetan Plateau, the South Siberian Mountains. It's found widely, but in very small populations, despite it being least concern. It inhabits rocky montane grasslands and shrublands. The snow cover is typically below 15 to 20 centimetres, and it prefers to shelter in rock crevices and burrows. So we have an indoor house, which in the game the Pallas'S cats prefer. They do also use the burrow enrichment. Well, it's not really enrichment, is it? The burrow shelter, what you can place within the habitat itself. But I've not seen them use it. They always go into the house, but that's absolutely fine. That's sort of how it would be in a zoo anyway, so I'm not too bothered about that. They typically prey on rodents and lagomorphs, so mice, rabbits, hares, pika, things like that. And they have between 2 and 6 kittens, usually born in the spring. Now it is classed as least concern, however, populations are threatened by poaching, a decline in prey base, and habitat fragmentation as the result of mining and infrastructure. Since the 1950s, Pallas cats have been kept in zoos, and as of 2018, which is the most recent figures, unfortunately, we're probably due another count, I reckon, next year. There are 60 zoos in Europe, Russia, North America, and Japan that participate in the Pallas cats captive breeding program. As for the stud book, if you like, the international stud book for Pallas cats, that's actually managed by the RZSS, which is the Royal Zoological Society of Scotland. They also coordinate the captive breeding program, within the European Endangered Species Programme. So there are currently around 177 Pallas cats in captivity in Europe, Russia, North America and Japan. And you can expect a few sort of vagrant individuals in China and some other Asian zoos. I don't think Singapore Zoo has Pallas cats. I don't think. But yeah, unfortunately though, almost half of all the kittens born don't make it to adulthood. This is particularly prevalent in zoos, and we've not yet figured out why that's the case, unfortunately. However, they are sort of least concern globally, so that's not to say they should be allowed to die, but mortality rates are present in all species, even in humans, so it's not exactly out of the ordinary. It's something that would require some further attention should the Pallas cat populations decline. In China, the Pallas cat is listed as endangered. In Mongolia, it's listed as near threatened. And in Turkmenistan, it's listed as critically endangered. So the Pallas cat is solitary, and of Pallas cats what have been observed, of the 9 that they observed, only 2 males actually scent marked by spraying urine, which indicates not a particularly common behaviour. It is quite astounding, this one actually. So 29 Pallas cats were fitted with radio collars, and during this time they tracked the cats to 101 dens, including 39 winter dens, 42 summer dens, and 20 dens, specifically, if I can get my words out, for raising kittens. That's a staggering amount of dens, 101 dens. The male territories overlap with females, but the female territories tend not to overlap too much. They are mainly sort of crepuscular, but this is seasonal, it changes with the time of the year. Yeah, they're just quite interesting animals. I just like how they look. I'm a big cat fan, so having another excuse to add a cat into the zoo is great for me. But yeah, the kittens are adorable as well, obviously. Oh, so adorable. There isn't much else to tell you about Pallas cats, really, unfortunately. They're cute, obviously. The majority of their weight is made up of fur. They're curious and yet secretive at the same time. There's a video from about 10 years ago on YouTube of a Pallas's cat discovering a camera, and it sort of emerges from its little crevice and it spots the camera, and it really sneakily walks up to it, and it disappears, and then you just see its face sort of slowly come in front of the camera. It's an amazing video, go watch it. Brings some joy to the day. But yeah, they're not much bigger than a domestic cat. They're stockier than a domestic cat, and obviously the majority of its weight is made up from fur, because its fur is ridiculously thick. It does also have retractile claws, which means it can, like a domestic house cat, it can put its claws out if it wants to, or keep them in, whichever suits it, I suppose. So they are threatened in the wild, unfortunately, even though they are least concern. And as I said earlier, the major threats are sort of prey base being reduced in number, habitat degradation from mining and infrastructure. But climate change will affect it as well. So Pallas'S cats, they've evolved to be very well camouflaged and adapted to cold continental climates that experience very little rainfall, but a wide range of temperatures. Obviously with climate change and global warming, that's going to be destabilizing everything as well. Poaching, prey decline, and habitat fragmentation. There we go. There's cases of herding dogs killing Pallas'S cats. There's also Pallas'S cats falling victim to traps set for other mammals. Pallas's cats are poached for their skins and body parts. Again, the body parts, usually, as is the case, is for this hocus pocus superstition that they have medicinal purposes. They don't. They really don't. Just let the animal be alive. They've been poisoned as well. Obviously, Pallas cats eat rodents and lagomorphs, and rodenticides are being used to poison animals. It's not just Pallas cats that fall victim to this. Birds of prey are also victims of this as well, unfortunately. And the figures that I'm looking at in front of me here, between 50,000 to 80,000 tons of pica biomass. And biomass is the mass of living biological organisms in a given area. So that's how much the prey for the Pallas cats has reduced, which is disheartening, to say the least. It's abhorrent, quite frankly. Just switching to the game very quickly. This roof that I'm building here, I really wanted it to have a wooden roof, and just the angle of the building and the textures, it wasn't working out. So you'll see me put this roof in and then I rip it out because it looks awful. We go for a plaster roof in the end, smaller pieces. Here we are putting some rock work in the habitat, which we do recolour. It doesn't stay this colour, don't worry. And the Pallas cats can use most of this. I'd like them to be able to use all of this, but that's just the way the game works. So the Pallas cats can use most of this. They can climb on most of it, and sit on most of it, and do what they do on most of it. But yeah, I wanted to use these flat faux rocks and just sort of change the textures and stuff every so often. Put a little burrow in there, and then I try to hide it as best as possible from the guest view, so it just sort of looks like the Pallas cats have disappeared into nowhere. But yeah, the habitat, it could do with a few more tweaks actually. Even after I've finished this episode, I do go ahead and replace most of the front mesh with glass just because it looks better. And it could do with some more rock work, I think, as well. It's a bit flat, the habitat. It could do with a bit more rock work to give it a bit more of a jagged feel to it, a bit more sort of rough and rugged. Going ahead and putting a sort of backdrop in. And then just using some different rocks on the other side, just so it doesn't look so samey. Get some different textures worked into there. And we even add some of the real rocks as well, the tundra rocks. Which you will see now. And then I think we go to the cinematics, maybe. So maybe not. No, it's the roof and then the cinematics, yeah. So the roof was quite difficult because the front of the habitat is on an angle and part of the back of the habitat is on an angle. It was a bit tricky to get matched up, but I used the meeting points for the mesh panels as sort of the pointers, and I just did straight lines out from there, and it looks alright actually in the end. Getting the mesh in was painstaking because the pieces where you can just put 4 meters in is absolutely fine, but the bits what need like the really tiny pieces of mesh, getting them to line up and not poke through, and it was quite time consuming. But it pays off, it works out in the end. I think so anyway, I hope so. My cat's snoring in the background if you can hear any weird noises. But yeah, just get this roof in, get some support beams in. Then we get some meshing, and then it'll be the cinematics. I hope you've all been well. Hope you're all enjoying the Zookeepers Animal Pack. I've still to do that video yet, don't worry. But yeah, I'm quite happy with the finished product. It just needs a little bit of TLC here and there. Selecting all the individual pieces, and then I've got to mark it as non-climbable. Ah yeah, put the front in just to make it a bit thicker. Less chance of the mesh poking through when the roof goes in. And here's the mesh going in. So like I said earlier, it's fine putting the 4 meters by 4 meters in. But the smaller pieces were a bit more of a trickier situation. So I just did this one row and got everything to line up, and then copied it like that here, and then just tried my absolute best to get it all lined up. Because I'm a perfectionist, I needed to make sure it touched. So here we are in the finished cinematics. Thank you very much for watching. This mesh on the front does get replaced with glass, just because it looks better. And we get a nice shot of the habitat and some Pallas'S cats eating. These are our 2 females called Lily and Petunia, named after Lily Potter and, well, Lily Evans and Petunia Evans, but people would likely recognise it as Petunia Dursley and Lily Potter from Harry Potter. They're absolutely adorable. I love Pallas'S cats. I've not seen them do the grumpy sort of sit on the tail animation. I don't think that's in the game, to be honest. But I can sort of excuse that a little bit. The Safaka's jump, that was all I was worried about. Thank you very much for watching, my friends. Please remember to hit that like button if you have indeed liked this video, and subscribe to the channel for plenty more Planet Zoo content. I've been JW. You can find me on Instagram at JW_YT. You can also find my wildlife photography at JW_wildlife photography. Thank you very much for watching. Enjoy what's left of the Pallas'S cats, and I shall see you all next time. Bye bye for now.